these are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan, ability to manage your problems effectively. How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.
And welcome back. We're moving into our second conversation for today, and it is Bruk It Down with Jenny. We're joined by mental health therapist Jenny Lovell. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning,
nice to
guys.
have you in.
Good morning,
Loving your
Belize.
colors, Carol.
Ooh. It is Friday morning.
Yes, it's fun. Friday.
You know,
I don't know how much fun this will be, because you always tackle some pretty tough stuff, and this is one. You know, we talk about parents need to do their part. They need to discipline their children. Now you're saying there's a time that we discipline.
And
You know, I mean, there's some things you need to look real well and look at how you're disciplining and when and understanding how the child, the brain, and all this other stuff. Because they're little ones, you know.
I'll tell you what, the conversation definitely is going to be one to reckon with, for the fact that we're so stuck into the culture of just telling our kids and disciplining, what to do and disciplining them.
And beating
And you
them.
know, and then you see the problem is when they grow up, then we don't speak back to our representatives. We don't speak back to the police. We don't ask questions. You know, I mean, we have rights, and we don't recognize that we have rights because we were never allowed.
We were never
am I saying
taught that we
something?
have
No,
rights.
I really fundamentally believe that we teach children to be the passive citizens that they are as
They
adults.
are, yes.
We teach them to.
No, we browbeat them into
Yeah.
that. We do.
Even without corporal punishment, you know, you can't speak, you don't have an opinion, you can't question authority, even if authority is wrong, which we see sometimes in the larger adult society.
Exactly.
And Marlene, we go as far as to teaching our child that education is actually to go and get a better or a big job, rather than to teach them that you're a seed and you are to grow. And you know, so things like this is where we went wrong with our society. So let's get into it.
And I'm glad you said that, because I really want to, you know, when we say things like this, I feel like parents feel like we're beating down on them.
Oh, we're not.
We're not.
But having friends and family that are parents, we know. Nobody knows how to do it right.
You know, we're just now beginning to get books, right?
Yeah.
And some people read, others don't read.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
And
our
the
parents
studies
didn't
are
have
just
manuals.
coming out now too.
Yes, lots of new things coming out all the time.
Yeah.
This is new information right here.
Oh.
Yeah, and I absolutely love it because it goes along with
Breaking
what we
news
have been
from Jenny
believing.
Breaking news
So
from
when
Jenny.
being naughty is not so bad, okay?
Being naughty.
Yes.
Why being
Not
naughty is not so bad?
We go into that.
Let's say
You know,
that again.
Parents tend to feel overwhelmed, especially like when your child is really acting out.
Yeah.
And people go, that's how I behave at the home. That's why you act out like this out here.
Yeah.
Right? And they get frustrated and they really want to go shake that child and do all kinds of things to the child. But let's talk about that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, knowing when to discipline requires serious intervention. When it requires serious intervention or just a little understanding. And I always say err on the side of a little understanding. Seriously, because little kids will just act out sometimes because they don't have the vocabulary or they don't have the way to express how they're feeling. They don't have it.
Even when they can talk.
Right. Please remember, the brain is not fully formed until you're 26. How old are you? It's not fully formed. And guess what is the last part to get formed? The prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain that helps you to make good decisions. The part of the brain that tells you not to just jump up and do something, not be impulsive. You know, as we see teenagers who just jump up and go
It
do
makes
things.
sense, doesn't it?
Impulse. It's the impulse that we have, and whether or not we act on it.
Right, good decision-making skills, all that stuff is up here. 26 years old, and we allow them to vote at what?
18.
And drink?
18.
Okay.
Well, whenever they want, technically.
Yeah, right. And that brain is not fully formed yet. So they don't have the vocabulary and they don't have any way of explaining how they're feeling. So they just bawl and scream and throw themselves down. and behave the way children do, right? And we hit them and we scream at them.
Yes.
And, you know, and the other thing is children have a child's logic. Sometimes a child may not like, we talked about it the last time,
Yeah.
that they may not like somebody and there are reasons why they don't. And we need to really respect that because they have their own little auras and their own little space, right?
Things that they like and don't like.
Don't like.
Yes.
How
You
many of
know?
us watch kids and say, "Oh, look at her"? You can see the personality. Like before they can talk, you
Right.
see the core
Yeah.
essence of who they want to
Yes,
be.
Yes.
And-
And sometimes we just beat that out of them, or
Yeah.
we yell that out of them. We don't. That's upstart. That's rude,
Rude.
and we take that away from them.
Now, traditional beliefs have always been that a well-behaved child, someone who is disciplined, will sit still, be quiet, not cry in public, not throw a tantrum. How realistic is this?
It's not.
If you see a child behaving like that, what does that indicate to you?
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
That child is really being controlled.
Yeah.
I mean, they have some real controlling parents.
Yeah.
You see a child that is really super well behaved, I really get worried. I'm looking, thinking,
What
wow, what's
happened?
going on?
Yes, what's going on in this home?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it's so not a reality for us because it gets into your mind and under your skin just knowing that, and this is for the viewers, thinking that, oh, because my child is well behaved mean that something wrong with my picnic. But they're actually not giving that child a free will.
Let them. Children need to play. We'll talk a little bit
Okay.
Yes.
about when you start getting into your makeup and messing with your stuff. And some parents just get so upset because the little girl goes in and they come out and they look like.
Or we think of breaking the lipstick or
Yes.
breaking the face powder or whatever it is.
You
yeah.
want to be a woman right now?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying the mother's thinking about the cost of replacing it. That's how you're talking about woman. we're
That's
talking about
afterwards.
replacing it.
That's afterwards. But yeah.
Yeah.
out there.
So let's go to the first one.
No, the first one, being brutally honest. We have little kids. Kids will say what is on their mind. I love little kids for that. They will tell you. Don't ask a child a question if you don't want an honest answer, because they will tell you. Okay? The thing is, what you, as a parent, what's important for you is just to make sure that they're not being mean just for the sake of being mean, or being, because that leads to bullying, right? So, but let them be honest.
Yeah.
Other people may not like it and just say, I'm really sorry, but, we let her have her opinion. As long as it's done in a polite way.
Yeah.
And sometimes what comes out of their little mouth may not be polite.
Yeah.
Would you say?
It may be impolite by our social standards, but not
Right.
by theirs, because they don't
No.
have they don't fit
They don't
into
have
the
those
norms that we
filters.
have
They
yet.
don't have the filters that we
So
have put
if
up.
they say someone stinks,
Yeah.
it's because they do.
They
we
do.
don't tell each other as adults.
Well,
'cause
we'd be
we feel
standing there
bad, yeah.
thinking, I
Yeah.
don't want to say anything,
Ah.
but the little child will say
Yeah.
it. They will
Or
say
it tastes bad.
Yeah.
like
this.
and
it. You take them to dinner. You ever had to take a little kid to dinner and the food's really bad and you're sitting there trying to pretend that it's okay, and the little kid go, "This is nasty."
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or no, I don't want
I don't
to.
want it. I don't want any, right?
Yeah.
And then parents force them
Force
to
them.
eat it,
Yeah.
right? What are you
To be
doing to
polite.
this child, right?
Yeah.
Seriously, what are you teaching the child?
Or
That
when you ask your child, how do I look in this?
Oh, my daughter is
Don't ever
stirred with
do
it.
that.
She'll tell you, I don't like
do
that.
I don't ask
I don't like
My
that.
niece looks at me sometimes and says, "Tia Marley, what's wrong with your hair?"
Or when they come and they go, "What's wrong with your eyes?" It's time to go clean the makeup off.
And it's cute. You see, okay, so there's a cute factor initially, and maybe within families, but when they take it outside to other people, you want to sink in a hole as a parent
Yeah.
and say, "No, she didn't. No, he didn't." What can a parent tell themselves to become? It's really teaching ourselves as parents to become comfortable with it.
We have to learn that our children are being honest, and we want to raise strong, articulate adults.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And we just have to accept, okay, my child is honest and I'm not going to stop her. I just want her to be polite in the way she does it.
Yeah.
Or not say anything. Listen, baby, we're going over to Auntie so-and-so's. let's not say anything over there.
Yeah.
Okay? If the food is nasty, let's get something else. Right.
Yeah.
But and also we don't want them to be mean. We have to watch to make sure they're not being mean. So we don't want to laugh at things that they say and make it sound like it's something nice that they're doing. Does that make sense? It's a fine,
makes-
fine,
How do you
fine
know
line.
when they're being mean or just being honest?
Haha, good question. I don't know. I think
The
if
parent
you-
will know best?
I think you will know if they're being mean, and
Yeah.
if they're doing it right and just being mean, and you can tell.
I think that there's a demeanor to them being mean, rather than to just be honest. They'll
Yeah.
tell you and they'll show you when
Yeah.
it comes to being
Yeah,
mean.
but the thing is, the meanness is if they're doing something with
Malicious, yeah.
intention that's malicious, right?
I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one, not sharing. I see parents who will insist, and in schools too, they'll insist that the child share.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a community thing, yes, you want them to share. But if they bring something to school, or if they have something at home, and some child comes to visit, and they come and they grab at their stuff, and they say, "Don't touch my stuff," and parents come and go, learn to share,
share.
and take it away, and give it to the other child, right? What have you just taught the child?
That you have no control over your own.
Your own property.
Your own property.
Space.
Yeah.
Or go hug so and so. And the child says, no. And the parent says, yes, you go hug Uncle Silver or my whomever. And the child's saying no. What are you saying to the child when you insist that they would do something like that?
Now, again, understanding the intention of parents. Nobody wants to raise what is considered a selfish person. So teaching sharing is having them be, I guess, more caring, compassionate to other people. So what is the balance here?
There is a balance. There has to be a balance.
Yeah.
But the thing is if your child doesn't share any at all, you have
Yeah.
and the thing is, again, start talking to the child very early.
Yeah.
There are, this child has absolutely nothing. She's here visiting you. Which of your toys can you share that you can play with? And let the child decide what toy she doesn't mind the other child playing with.
Yeah.
But talk to the child. As small as they are, go and talk to them. Right? So you're showing respect for their little rights and showing respect for the fact that they don't want to share that particular toy.
And it does work. When you tell your child, oh, you don't want to share this toy, so what toy can Marquisha play with? Oh, she could play with this one, she could play with that one, because she's got the
Right.
mental to it.
Right.
She could tell you
Right.
this.
That's
So
true.
I've seen
It's
that.
showing that they get
She'll
the
tell you.
concept. Yeah.
She'll tell you.
I read the most fascinating, this was an article, this was just a viral post shared by parents, and it was exactly about this, not sharing. Why one parent said, it's okay if my son doesn't want to share. Because in her mind, her son packed his own snack, whatever it is. He knew what he wanted. He did all the work for his own stuff, and he was just around strangers who just jumped in. And she wanted him to learn that if he works hard and gets what he wants, it's okay if he says, this is mine. This is what I've worked for. As adults, we don't collect our salary and say, okay, you want it here.
There you go.
We don't do
Exactly.
We don't invite people into our home and say, take what you want.
And we're preparing them. We're preparing them for adulthood.
Yeah.
Of course.
And it starts very, very young. And that's the problem, though. You see, a lot of times when you insist that the child has to share and the child has to do all these other things, then they become passive and they just do what they're told. And later on in life, they don't know how to say no.
It becomes problematic for
Right.
them. as
They don't know
adults.
how to say no.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. That's a real, real problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we
So if
see
you
it.
don't want to share your time as an adult, but you feel that
Guilty.
the nice thing to do, don't feel
guilt.
guilty. Tell the people yes, even though you may be exhausted and can't do it or can't go. You sacrifice you for others.
Yeah. And we laugh-
Women do it with their bodies if they
Bodies,
feel
yeah.
that they can't say no because they'll feel guilty.
Yeah, and we always say our mothers teach us by guilt.
Yeah.
We're taught by guilt,
Wow.
right? And
That's
so
deep.
it's really important, really important that we learn to respect their little rights, and work around it.
Is this the start of teaching children how to set personal boundaries?
Boundaries, yes, ma'am. This is what we're talking about when I talk about boundaries.
Yeah.
We teach them very, very early how to set their own little boundaries,
Yes.
and then as they're growing, you work with them to set the boundaries a little better and wider.
So I like what I'm hearing from you is one solution that parents can learn, which is, okay, if little Jane doesn't want to share, then you ask Jane, okay, is there something else that little John can play
Play
with?
with it. Exactly.
So she
exactly.
still maintains her own boundary,
That's right.
but still is learning that what she's not using and what she doesn't need can go
Can
to
source
another
out.
person.
Yes,
Right,
of course.
Exactly. And this is
And
the
not because
age.
John wants the toy she has in her hand.
Right. And if John insists on that toy, then you know she has a right to say no,
No.
I don't want to, and say John,
You can play with this
you
one.
can play with these.
Okay. Okay.
And it's at this age also you can ask them about what toys can you donate to children who do
Before
not have.
Christmas too.
Right, you start talking to them about that kind of thing, and they will go find things
Things
and
that
give
they
to
don't
you
want.
that they don't want that you can donate. Okay, really early you start doing that.
In
so
the same vein.
sharing and
Yeah.
taking turns is a behavior that should be mutually respectful.
Okay.
So you teach the other child also that you don't just come and grab other people's things.
Definitely. All right.
Rejecting people, okay? They don't always feel like hugging on people or having people hug on them. They
Yeah.
don't. and I really believe that. I just don't believe you just go and hug. You need to ask permission, right? And little kids don't want that, and they'll say no. Or they say, go hug grandma. No, don't feel like it. Don't want to.
Don't want to.
What's
Yeah.
wrong with you? Go hug your grandmother right now.
You're
she
rude.
cooked for you. She
Yes.
babysit you.
And grandma's going, it's okay. Mom's going, no, she'll
No,
hug
she'll
you.
hug you.
But you know, again, it goes back again to not forcing the children
Mm-hmm.
to do things that they're saying they don't want to do. You want to ask the child, how come, baby? Why don't you want to hug grandma? Right?
Then they'll
And
tell
ask
you.
her. They'll tell you.
They'll tell
Grandma
you.
smells.
Yes.
Right? Or grandma.
Or I'm
grandma.
tired.
Yeah. Nah,
Or
don't
I just
to.
don't want
Want
to.
to.
Right. And
But-
please, let's try to learn to respect that. Talk to the child. They will tell you.
And then it boils down to what's the message when we force them.
Oh, wow. Your feelings, your thoughts are not important. The other person's is. It's a really strong message.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that we have as adults here in our country, unfortunately. You know?
And this is actually becoming more and more. I've heard it before also from like human development and social workers that in preventing your child from becoming a victim of sexual
Right.
abuse, it's important that you do respect when they reject
That's
people.
right.
Otherwise, you're
Absolutely.
teaching a very young child to say, I can tell you what to do with your body.
Yeah.
You don't want to have a physical interaction with someone, but I say you must and you do.
Yeah.
And it-
Like there's I don't know, I mean, you
So
tell me the
dichotomy,
psychology
it's-
term, but like maybe we're teaching them that they can't choose.
Yep. We do, parents do this.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be very, very careful because you don't know who the predators are a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't come out and say, I'm a predator.
No, I'm afraid it's not. Yeah.
Right? It can be in your family. Most of this stuff happens in families.
And I think forcing them as well is actually the wrong way of teaching them to respect their elders. The wrong way. When you force them, that's the wrong way to respect their elders. And this is when people prance on you. Predators prance on them. Because that person is an elder. So you should respect your elder. Or at least so they think.
That's what is
Yeah.
taught to them and pushed on
But since
them.
when is respect hugging and kissing and sitting on their lap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Okay, being
Gosh.
impulsive.
So again,
Oh, wait, sorry.
teach them to say no, no thank you, in a nice way. No thank you, I don't feel like it right now. Maybe later, Granny, or maybe later, Grandpa, right? But teach them.
Yeah.
It's teaching them about rights. It's teaching them about how to say no.
So they are saying no,
No.
but in a nice way.
in a nice way.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, being impulsive. Little kids are very impulsive. Remember, the brain isn't fully formed. And that
Until
part of the brain
26.
until 26, right? little, kids,
Wow.
little kids will go eat
They
dirt.
can't help touching things.
They'll touch everything.
No,
They-
we've all seen that kid that you say, don't touch that.
And
And,
then
then they
touch.
go,
They can't help it.
big smile on their face and touch the same thing you spoke about.
And it's testing limits too, you know.
Yes, it is.
They will test limits. You tell them not to touch, and they'll stand and watch you on their little hands
then-
like that.
so funny.
I've seen it. I've got
I
it in
know.
my home.
I think every child does that, but it's
Yep.
just. I mean, if you're in a calm mood, it's funny. If you're already angry, it's
Angry.
just like
That's the thing.
you.
That's the thing.
They're testing
Yeah.
limits.
But you know
Right.
what? A conversation like this actually gives parents the ability to understand that even though you had a long day, your child will be testing you at home.
Yeah.
You shouldn't
Yeah.
hit the child. You know, so this is because I've got a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old in my house
Oh,
right
your
now.
1-year-old
so I
is
know.
sneaking
Oh
that
my
finger on the toy
goodness!
right now.
Please don't go into the bathroom. Come back.
Or you take him into the store.
Oh
and you
my
go,
gosh,
do not
not
touch
touch.
anything, and then just go right. Boom! And just
Or the meltdown when they leave without a toy.
Oh my goodness! It's
I used to
there.
have talks with Alberto. I said, "We're going to Brody's. Now, if you ask me for anything, you will not get anything. All right? So don't ask." So he wouldn't ask. He'd just go.
Well, he followed instructions.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
So there is
Excellent.
a normal curiosity.
There
here.
is.
Yeah.
Because of the growing brain, and
Yeah.
at that age, right? They will eat. You ever see them eating dirt?
See them eating everything. On the window.
Yours is still in the oral stage.
Oh my goodness, she is right there. 1-year-old.
And then you couple that curiosity with the desire, the want. I want to touch that just
Yes.
because you said no,
No.
and they would go for it.
Okay, but
And
then you have
the parent's job is to teach them self-control.
how do you do that?
Pretty much is you say, okay, so just like with the kids, we're going into Brody's. Don't touch anything, because if you break it, we have to pay for it. If you are well behaved, I will give you a treat when we are ready to leave Brody's. And you see them heading for it, you go, remember the treat.
Yes.
Right, but you have to be guiding.
So is
You
it
have to be guiding.
incentivizing?
Incentivizing is excellent.
Yeah, that's good.
Right, talking to them
Is it
beforehand.
bribing or incentivizing?
It's incentivizing. They will have an incentive to behave until
Yes.
we leave. Because
Okay.
remember, that little brain is just going and the impulsivity things.
Colors, things, you know.
I like that. Isn't that like goal setting too? My goal is to get that chocolate in
At the end, when
Yes.
I leave out of here.
Setting goals.
Yeah.
Right, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
You're right. Uh-huh.
Guidance. Parents have to, you can't just decide to let that kid grow themselves up. You have to be there every step of the way.
So if I
Guiding.
say an incentive can be your safety. If you touch that one more time, I'm going to spank you.
And if you touch it, then you'll have to spank the child. That's what we're trying to not do,
Not
because
do.
you have to follow through. Remember, if you tell the child something, you make a
you put-
promise, you make a threat, you always have to follow through. So don't make threats.
make
Don't make
threats.
idle threats.
Yes.
Because you don't want to be hitting the child at every point. Let's do incentives. Children will work for incentives as small as they are.
So let's put this into perspective, because for a lot of people, an incentive simply means that you're spoiling the child. So it's not a bad
No, they're
thing
earning.
yes.
They're earning.
But people don't see it like this.
They're
Remember,
earning.
culturally,
Uh-huh.
when you say to your child, as soon as you're finished, or if you don't do this, then I'll give you this. Every time they pick, you want something, you want to give us something. It's actually for them to earn.
And it's not everything either.
Yes.
Remember the whole Pavlov's thing. You want to make sure it's random, and you're doing it for. When you go into Brody's, you don't want that child running into everything in Brody's, so you offer an incentive, right? And that's one of the ways that you can do
I
that.
love that you clarify that, Jen.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, so children just make and play. They play all the time and they make mischief all the time.
Yeah.
But they love to be silly. Little kids love being silly and they love to play, right? And they are moving constantly.
They don't stop. They never
Moving, non-stop movement,
They never
right?
stop.
So the thing is to you engage in the play with them, because they really need to be learning how to use those muscles and everything else. Find ways to play with them.
But Jenny, I get home from work and I'm so tired.
I
And I
know.
have to cook them dinner. And I have to make sure they do their homework. And I'm just sitting down after a full day of getting them ready for school, going to work, doing everything after work, and now they want me to
Spend a few
get
minutes
up
playing
and
with
play
them.
with them.
A few
minutes.
minutes.
You should.
Spend that few minutes.
That's being a parent.
Why?
Spend that few minutes.
Can't I
Because
teach them to understand that mommy's tired?
Mommy's tired, but you know what? You took on this job for 18 years.
Yes.
You did. You took it on. when you had that
There's
baby.
some harsh reality there.
It
You
is.
chose it.
It
You did
is.
the work.
You
It
did.
is. You know, and from a parent standpoint, I know that we've got to go in a few, but from a parent standpoint, at times we wake up at 4:30 in the morning. When we finish from here, we have to travel all the way to PG, and then you get back here by 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. When
Let's
you get home, the
play.
kids, they want you. It's a part
Yep.
of the growing up process,
Yep.
and it's a part of you living
Yep.
up to your reality of having kids.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful thing, but
Yep.
you've got to understand.
You really have to make up your mind. Get on the floor, have some board games, have
Yes.
whatever you know, the little what the thing, Fruitland or all that
Yes.
stuff, and just lie on the floor with them. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. How much is that to take out
Quick
of your day?
interjection, quick interjection. Another good way of playing with them after a long day, lying down on the floor and tell them, stand at my back. Or touch my muscle, do something. It's relaxing for you, it's playing for them.
Well, I think what's also key here is probably sharing it as
Right.
well. Like
Right.
maybe dad can be playing with the kids while I am doing the,
The cooking.
cooking.
Or vice
Or
versa.
dad is cooking and I'm playing with
That's
Oh, I
me,
like
that's
that.
me all around. I'm gonna cook, that's me.
I'm sorry, I
Yes.
don't know why I use that primary
What?
example.
I want you in the kitchen. Why if you hang out or whatever the baby is, I
Yeah.
want it. That's
But
the way
so
it
they're
is.
engaged.
Yeah.
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 But
Okay.
it's very important to do the play with them because and the movement. Do things that get them to move. They love that. Okay. So provide an outlet for all that energy so that they go to sleep.
Acting out emotionally. Now, I gotta say this, right? Because, you know, before I saw people having kids and understanding, I could not understand why kids are throwing tantrums and what parents were doing for them to have tantrums. Then I got kids in the family, I have friends who have kids, and I'm just like, that's what they do.
It is.
But it's hard.
I know it is. I know it is. I've seen the tantrum. I've lived the tantrum.
I know. And you know, sometimes it's just a switch that turn on. Okay, now we start the tantrum phase, and it's every single
And then,
day.
Yeah.
it's finding out what the triggers are.
Okay.
First of all, what triggers it, right? And if they can't explain, because remember now, even though they might be 6 years old, maybe 7 years old, they can't really explain
Why
why
so
they're
much.
upset
Yeah.
and what you just did that upset them. But I'm mad at you, mommy. I'm really angry with you, mommy. And they'll throw themselves down and just have a tantrum.
Yeah.
And what do? We flog them, right? We beat
Yeah,
them.
parents can't
Oh,
stand
they
tantrums,
don't.
We
but
put them in timeout,
Yeah.
right? And we don't find out why they're having this tantrum. It's important to find out. Ask the kid what's wrong.
Okay, but if we're talking about a 2-year-old, they can barely communicate.
Okay, they can barely communicate, but they will tell you. Even at 2 years old, mommy, right?
Oh, I want that. Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
they'll tell you what it is, right? And then you explain to them why they can't have it or why it's not okay to be upset because you can't have it because we talked about this before. Talk with them.
Okay, but talking with them won't stop the tantrum.
At the time that they're having the tantrum, no.
No.
Okay,
No.
just
What
being
is
clear.
Yeah. You let them have their
Yeah.
tantrum.
Yes.
Let them have it. They're it's awful, but let them have their tantrum. And then when they're calmed down, you want to go have that conversation. So what was that? What happened? Tell me what happened. Mommy, and then they'll give you that that language you don't understand. But they're pointing at stuff. You really want to find what the triggers are because there are triggers.
And you
Yeah.
explain to them before. So
Right.
like the kid who does the tantrum in the supermarket, talking to them before.
Beforehand. We're going to Brody's. Okay?
Well, the strategy normally is that you throw your tantrum there, we'll walk away.
And then they
And
get
they
scared
follow-
and jump up and
follow.
run.
Have you ever had them where they follow you? They're following you and watching you and then they
Yeah.
scream somewhere and throw
Yeah.
themselves down.
Or
and
they
keep
wait
walking.
till you watch them. Like they wait till you're watching and then they go, ah! And there are no tears.
Woo, man. Memories.
But Jenny, there is a discipline component here we haven't spoken about yet because, you know, it's not always what they want. Let me give an example. Kids who hate car seats. Every time you put them in, they scream their
and-
head off and you want to take them out because you want them to stop crying. It's a tantrum. But it's really for their own good. They don't understand that yet. What do you do? I mean, you can't spank them and, well, I know people do, I would imagine, but what do you do to get I'm doing something that's good for you?
With the car seats, they'll just have to have their tantrum.
Yeah.
Right. But you explain to them that, I used to always do this again with Alberto. Babe, if I stop this car suddenly, you're going to go right through that window. Right? And you look at the window and I go, and it will hurt because you get cuts.
Yeah.
Right, and I tell him, and then after a while he started getting in and he'd climb right into his car seat.
And
But
stop
you just
himself.
keep reinforcing the message of
Or
safety.
doing homework.
Right. Oh, homework. Oh, Lord.
Those are very
early.
key tantrum moments.
Right. You start early again, talking to the child about the importance of doing homework.
Yeah.
This is how you get into the class. All your little friends will go into the next class and you'll be left behind.
Yes.
And you talk the language to them. Talk with them. I can't overemphasize how important it is to talk with little kids. Talk with everybody, actually.
Talk with everybody.
Okay. Normal behavior for little brains that don't know how to express or communicate fully. Okay. They'll act out when they're bored, hungry, upset, or they're disappointed in you.
Yeah.
You did not bring me something to eat. You hurt my feelings. And they'll tell you, you hurt my feelings.
They will.
Okay. Talk to the child.
All right, let's move on to defiance.
Ooh, this is the one. Oh, Lord, this is the one. You have to reinforce what being respectful means.
Okay.
Because they will test limits. Remember, they're testing limits. They're at that age.
Yeah.
You tell them, I don't want you to do this. And they will do it. And then they will argue with you.
Yeah.
Or they will have their point. They will try to make their point why they need to do this. Have you ever had a little kid stand up in front of you and explain to you why it's important that they do
Yeah,
this?
it just says, but I want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had it.
and, you know, and that's when, if they're totally insisting they're not going to, then that's when you use timeout.
Okay.
You put them in timeout and you say, okay, go think about what you're refusing to do. And when you're ready, I'll come and get you. Well, you give them the amount of time, you get them, and you come out and you sit down and have the conversation. Because by then they're calm, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right? But you put them somewhere quiet and let them think about it. Sometimes they'll go put their own selves into timeout.
Because they know they've done a boo-boo.
I've seen it. It does happen.
They'll go put themselves in
Yeah.
timeout when they've done something they should.
I need to go.
But encourage them. The main thing is to encourage them to
To speak
speak
up.
up.
Try new
Can we
things.
just tie this in, because this is so important,
Yeah.
you know? And I think parenting is one part, and I think the scariest part is the parent works on this, and then you send them into a school system where they're
Yes.
repressed again.
Yes,
I
yes.
am petrified when I have school tours and you kids who come here, and they won't even sit until I tell them to sit. They won't talk until I look at them and say, you are allowed to ask questions to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Because it means if that's who they are as children, what are they going to be as adults?
Right.
So
What we have. Because
Yes,
this is
at
what
this
we
point.
have.
Yeah.
What we've got right now.
Unfortunately, this
Exactly
is what we
what.
have.
Yeah.
We are people
Yes,
who
sir,
are not.
no, ma'am.
You tell, go vote yes on the ICJ. Go vote no on the
Go
ICJ, and then we'll go do
Yeah,
what
go
we're
you
told.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this is what has been taught to us all
So
along.
an active citizenship starts with actively participating children.
That's right.
A child who says,
right.
but why do you want me to do that? Or no, I don't want to do that.
Right. And you need to explain to them. You need to explain to them it's for safety, it's for whatever, but you have to talk to them.
Yeah.
Not scream at them or tell them, get out of my sight, you
Or
do
because
what
I
I
said
tell
so.
you. I am the parent.
And
That's an authoritarian parenting where, you know, the Fidel Castro way of
way of
parenting.
parenting.
And, or teaching even,
Yeah.
right? We're not teaching them how to be assertive. We're taking away all that from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately that's the way it is right now.
Yeah, it is, because that's how our parents learned, and that's what they taught to to us.
So,
Okay.
because we're running so fast out of
Sorry.
time, I'd love to dwell on this, but you want to teach them to make their own decisions and test their own. So you give them choices,
Yes, give them choices.
reasonable choices.
Woo! Give them choices all the time. You give them some choices and say, okay, choose which one. Okay, and they will. They will
Yeah.
tell you, I want to do that one. They say, okay. I want to jump to the last one,
Yeah.
if that's
Yeah.
okay.
Go ahead.
We really and truly want to make sure that we are consistent. I've talked about this several times on the show. Consistency is really important. You can't tell the child do something today and then tomorrow say, okay, well, I want to relax it a little bit. bedtime is 8 p.m.
Yes.
right? But I'm going to just for tonight because it's mom's birthday, or just for tonight because we have friends over. I'm not going to enforce that. Children don't understand that.
No.
Oh, you let me do that last night. Why can't I do it tonight?
Yes.
Right? You've got to be consistent.
Okay.
Bedtime is an example. Rules. When you set rules, you don't vacillate on the rules. You have to make sure that you follow through when you set rules.
Yes.
Okay, and what the consequences are. If there are consequences, you follow through. They break the rule, you follow through with the consequences. Okay? Kids like having routines. They do. They want to have a bedtime. They want to know that things, because then they know what's happening and what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And then you, as a parent, you need to learn to balance flexibility with consistency. You can be flexible some of the time, but you've got to be consistent in what you do.
And you
all
do
the
that
time.
If you
all the
are
time.
going to break
Yes.
the rule for a day, you know, today I'm in a great mood and I want to give them ice cream before dinner. You know, every other day I would say no. But I feel great and I want to do this with my child. What do you say when you want to break the rules just a bit?
Tell the child.
Okay.
Explain to the child. This, we have a routine, but just for today, I want us all to go out and we'll have ice cream. All right? Explain to the child. Tomorrow we go back to the way things are all the time. That's a routine.
Okay.
But just for today. Talk, talk, talk. Children, yes, they're little and they have small brains, but we talk to them in age-appropriate information.
Yeah.
And most of the time, actually, an incentive breaks routine. And then you snap right back into it.
And you let them know. Tomorrow we go back to the way things were.
That's right.
Let them know.
All right.
As
That
usual, we had to
was-
race through that.
I know, but
yeah.
this was such a great conversation. You know, I think everybody wants to feel that their child is well behaved, but what criteria are we putting
what
on
cost?
that? Yeah.
At what cost?
And well behaved doesn't mean repressed or, you know, not capable of speaking up and understanding things. And that's what we want from them. We're raising little adults
Yeah.
slowly
Yeah.
over time.
And by 18, they're supposed to be able to do all these things. Right.
All right. Jenny, thank you, thank you.
Gracias.
De nada.
We're going to go ahead and take our break, and when we come back, we'll be making candles
Candles.
as we
Woo, woo.
prepared for Los Finados.
These are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan. Ability to manage your problems effectively. How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.